Welcome to the pharmaphorum podcast. This is web editor Nicole Raleigh, and today I will be speaking with Alexander Alex, head of Veeva Platform at Bayer, and Florian Schnappauf, vice president of enterprise commercial strategy at Veeva. And that conversation will be about taking Bayer's connected platform journey to the next level by migrating to Vault CRM. Welcome both.
Hi, Nicole.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Nicole.
Now, Bayer and Veeva have partnered for several years across commercial, R&D, and quality functions. But the question today is, what does migrating to Vault CRM represent in terms of taking that relationship and Bayer's connected platform journey to the next level? Who wants to start? What's the excitement around this?
Thank you, Nicole. I'm happy to start. So obviously, Veeva didn't make it easy for us 2 years ago when they broke up, or when they announced they broke up with the Salesforce partnership. And to that time, obviously, we have not been really prepared for that, but we immediately started to look into and what does this mean for us? And for that, we immediately launched an internal assessment because it was very clear that we just do not want to move ahead with a technical migration, but we want to set the baseline for our next generation customer engagement model where we have empowered field teams and customer insights first. So basically, we wanted to move from an SFE platform into a customer insights platform to create the foundation for our new operating model.
Thank you, Alexander. So let's go specifically into the US setting. I believe Bayer has just gone live with Vault CRM there. So what does that milestone mean for your teams on the ground and for the way Bayer works with its customers more generally?
Yeah, indeed. We started with the US, and I'm happy to say US is live since end of July on Vault CRM, and followed by our APAC markets who just went live. It wasn't easy that we choose the US to be first, but it was in the end a decision we took when we looked into our roadmap, into our launches, because in the end we wanted to ensure that we have stable continuation for our field force. And in the end, US was therefore the biggest challenge as the first step, because it's basically one of the most complex setups we have. And it's one of the biggest and most important markets for us.
Thank you. And one assumes that the situation with the launch in APAC perhaps had different challenges to the US.
It had different challenges. Now in the US, you normally have a bigger team, you have a bigger size of available capacity, so more ability to test, to give feedback. Where in our APAC markets, obviously we are much leaner. So, and it's much more markets. So it was a different scenario where it also required much more support from global stakeholders. But in the end, it was also a good sequence because we could reuse a lot of the training material and experiences we've made with the US team, who have been a fabulous contributor to this whole success. And I would say without the close collaboration also with our US team, the go live in APAC would have been much harder.
Thank you. So let's focus now on this notion of one integrated platform. How does one integrated platform allow Bayer to connect core functions across the business?
So in the end, CRM is just one component. I always describe our whole Veeva setup as the Veeva universe in Bayer. So we are equipped with Veeva platforms across our whole value chain. And in the end, sometimes we say Veeva is our SAP in pharma, because in the end, it covers our most crucial and important processes along the value chain, and they have to function. So in the end, that is something where you also need to ensure that from an architecture and data perspective, we are breaking silos and we are creating that unified architecture and data layer in order to enable us to really also use the data. And we obviously also started now, as we are on so many Vault platforms, to experiment what are the obvious cases, right? For example, looking into where do we use customer data. In clinical, we have investigators. We have in commercial, we are having activities with the same people. And we already did an assessment that we have an up to 50% overlap between people who our R&D is visiting as part of a study versus our medical and commercial teams are visiting. And obviously data quality is key, and knowing about each other is key to create a good customer experience ultimately. So that is what matters. But on the other hand, there are also operational efficiencies, right? We just had a Veeva hackathon last week where we brought together groups from different Veeva squads, being it regulatory, quality, commercial, content, and they presented problems and trying to solve them on one day using, for example, AI vibe coding to create mock-ups, to create functioning solutions. And there was one eye-opening moment where teams were presenting their problems, and immediately in the audience, you could see people, oh, you're having the exact same problem. Yes, because in the end, they're using a Vault platform which provides capabilities embedded into processes, and those capabilities are shared. And we are able to create blueprints for problems which we then can immediately scale across our whole value chain to solve problems. And this is the power of the Viva platform. And that's also where I'm like, we have to create networks and we have to break the silence, because that Viva universe and the Viva community will truly be the source of innovation, because I believe in bottom-up innovation.
Thank you, Alexander. So, segueing from that breaking of silos, shared capabilities, maybe keeping it at Viva Community as opposed to Viva Universe, though who knows what's coming on the horizon. I want to switch over to you now, Florian. From Viva's perspective, what makes Vault CRM a step change for companies like Bear?
Thank you, Nicole. And I can only echo what Alex has already started to say. I think with Vault CRM, buyer has now the ability to actually seamlessly integrate and interoperate. And that's certainly one of the biggest benefits and the step change. And if you look at the value chain of a pharmaceutical company, as Vault CRM is built on the Vault platform, it allows native integration with other applications that are built on the platform that buyers is already using and that Alex was already explaining, for example, in clinical, in quality, but also in the content space, right? So there's a seamless integration between these different Vault applications, and you can now start thinking the value chain from end to end, strategic processes that run across many different areas. Buyer now has the capabilities also on the technology side to actually think that end to end. And I think that's very seldom still in the industry, and that the company is actually in a position to think that through end to end. So I think that's one of the biggest steps changes, thinking processes end to end and having the technology foundation to actually to connect them. At the same time, the ecosystem is open, so buyer can also integrate with other parts of their infrastructure and their tech stack. So they basically get the best of both worlds, right? I think that's, if you think about the collaboration, that's certainly one of the biggest themes, and Alex has been stressing that as well, and I completely agree. I think a second big step change is to embed AI into the platform itself and into the applications itself. We've announced Viva AI in April this year. Bayer is actually one of the companies we're talking with the most in the industry of how to bring that into their workflows, into their processes. So very deeply embedded AI agents in the different workflows to speed them up, to make them more efficient. So that's certainly another step change that Vault CRM enables Bayer to leverage in the future. So they're getting a complete but modular commercial suite. Alex was talking about the next generation customer engagement system, a system of insights, not a system of records. And I think that's where the real value lies for Bayer.
Thank you, Florian. So thinking about a system of insights as opposed to a system of records, thinking about the end-to-end process you've just described and reflecting on that whole customer journey on a single platform, I want to go back to Alexander. Now, you're responsible for the relationship with Viva, even beyond commercial. So I want to think about Bear specifically now and the benefits for Bear and what kinds of end-to-end insights are now able to be captured that weren't possible before.
Thank you for that question, Nicole. So I would say just by migrating to Vault CRM, this will not solve the problem we all have to that there is much more in the data than we maybe today see. And it requires us to really build a plan. And I was like, how can we get there? And the first thing we did as a prerequisite is to create that unified architecture and data layer for our universe in order to ensure that we can connect different platforms more efficiently and that we can also leverage the data, catalog the data, and make it also reusable. And then there's one thing we did. We launched, for example, we had a workshop together where we brought different people from different functions together, and we talked about what is in the Veeva data, what can we make out of it to really create value for our customers, our teams, and so on. And in the end, we created really powerful visions. But in the how do we get there, we stumbled only across the obvious stuff. So the stuff which was we were discussing for a while, like MDM, aligning it, and so on. But we left the workshop with the feeling, well, we didn't really crack the nut yet. We didn't really create that innovation. And that's why we said, okay, we first need to work on the essentials. We need to build the communities. We need to break the silos. We need to make the data usable. We need to think about our AI strategy, and then we need to really start innovation from user and customers. And we need to build them as scalable building blocks. And we have launched so-called missions. So, for example, we have the AI readiness mission team, which is creating the governance and and connecting the teams and creating an environment in which where we can be innovative around Viva. And this is in the end, and one element I just mentioned already before, which was this Viva hackathon, where we had so many great ideas, which were just coming out of people working with the solutions and people talking with each other, leverage the insights of a network. And this is what we want to turn into projects, into small projects, small experiments, prove value, 90 days, and then decide, do we want to continue or not? So it's not that we have the blueprint ready of what do we do now with the fact that we have connected Viva systems, but it's the environment and the ways of working we create in that universe, which I believe is the right way to do. Because if that would be obvious, I believe Viva would already have them on their roadmap.
Absolutely. So talking about great ideas, actually, I just want to go back slightly to Florian's mention of the AI agents. And I wondered, Florian, whether you actually wanted to expand upon that.
Yeah, very happy to, Nicole. So agentic AI and AI agents are obviously something that is the name of the game currently, right? It's something that we see and read every day. And our mission at Veeva is to make that power of AI, the promise of AI, tangible and bring it into our product. So our customers, such as Bayer, can leverage it in a practical but high value way, right? So we want to take the great innovation that's happening in the AI space and bring it into our products and into our platform so our customers can benefit of that at scale. So what we did, we announced Veeva AI earlier this year, and it has basically two elements to it, right? The first one is to putting agentic AI at the very core of our technology. So into the Vault platform, in which we've been talking a little bit about in this podcast already. In the past, this platform was working very well with data and with content, which is very important in the life science industry. We've added agents to that mix. So we haven't made adaptations or changes to the platform at that fundamental level in a long time. That shows how important AI is for Veeva and will be also for the industry at large. We've ingrained that very deeply into the platform. So data, content, and agents are working now as part of the Vault platform that powers all of our applications across the board, right? Which we're very thankful that Bayer is using a lot. So that's kind of the first leg of it. The other is to bring specific AI agents into all of the applications. And I was mentioning before, we're talking with Bayer about a lot of the innovation that's coming, specifically also in the commercial space. And in December this year, we're going to be releasing our first set of agents for the commercial space within Vault CRM. So there's going to be an agent that helps the users with pre-call planning before they go into the customer, the HCP, to engage with them, to be able to ask questions and to understand what's the context of that doctor. What have I been speaking with him in the past? What would be the best possible topics I should bring to the next conversation? So you actually start creating a better customer experience. We're going to launch more agents. One will be a voice agent. You and I and all of us, we've been used to typing on keyboards for a very long time. Now we want to leverage the power of natural language to interact with the machine, to interact with Vault CRM, and voice agent is our solution for that. We know the industry depends on compliance and is very important. So we're also going to bring a compliance agent, a free text agent that understands all the free text and can suggest changes or highlight where changes are needed because compliance is maybe infringed. So there's a lot of innovation that's coming in the very, very near future. And again, we're speaking with Bayer of how can we bring that into their workflows. so they can use that at scale also for a global company.
Thank you, Florian. So I think it's fair to say that collaboration has been key here, not only in just making this partnership successful, collaboration overall. So tell us now, how have the two teams worked together to achieve this milestone specifically? I mean, Veeva built a specialized team around Vault CRM, I believe. So how does that partnership model help customers like Bayer succeed? I don't know who wants to take that question.
I'm happy to start. So for me, there are three success factors. Number one, a committed bilateral partnership, because a partnership requires bilateral commitment. And we decided early for the Vault migration, as we trusted in the ability of both parties to deliver on promises as part of our partnership. And obviously the existing partnership in various areas we had already supported our trust in the ability to deliver from Veeva, as the project was truly ambitious. The second point is we built on a strong and trusted team. That means we had a strong Veeva CRM team in place in our organization, primarily staffed also with people who have really been part in rolling this out in this business transformation journey, which have been in this team for a while from Bayer and from Veeva. And we did not create a new team for that migration. So we enhanced the team's capacity and we built everything around an existing and working structure and also around our partnership. That means with the regular exchange with product, with the regular exchange with the services team. And I always want to mention we did it as lean as possible. So really try to focus around experts. Last but not least, user centricity. From the very first day, even though we did not even have had a Vault training yet, we didn't even have access to Vault CRM yet, we started with a bottom-up sourcing of what are challenges and inefficiencies we currently have with the Veeva CRM platform. And we tried a new approach. So that time, we just had the first time large language models available to process unstructured data. And we basically said, everybody in the markets, everybody who's using CRM, raise your hand if you want to be part of the transformation. And then we invited those teams into a short kickoff. We explained them what we want to achieve, and we truly challenged them. Tell us everything what currently is from your perspective clunky, inefficient, and so on. And then we sent around a free text survey with 3 questions or 4. We asked the team really take time to answer on it and collect it within your countries, in your sales organization, and so on. And in the end, I received, I think I have it on one time, I transferred this all into Word, and it was like 170 pages of unstructured content and input. And it was fantastic. And then we ran it through LLMs. We asked the LLM to be a requirements engineer. And then we created, I think it was 45 user stories out of it. And then we sent it back to the group. And then we asked them to stack rank one over another. You could clearly say that this was like a hockey stick. Like the first 10 user stories were basically having 90% of the responses in the prioritization. And then we went into, then I remember that as this was yesterday, I called Veeva product team, Arno, Povelas, and so on, and said them, guys, we need to sit together. And we met for a 3 days workshop, and we exercised through all the user stories and told them, guys, this is what we will need to change in Vault CRM. And I have to say that was working very well. It was a foundation. We still had 1 year before our first go live. And I have to say it was truly inspiring to see how well this partnership has worked and how much we could really work out together as a team. And I would say this was a really user-centric thing. Did we solve everything? No, but I think it feeded the Veeva roadmap for a while. And I have to say we are very happy to see that a lot of those things have been delivered, at least in the first MVP. And I think this is what really also gives the team the feeling, okay, something is happening. And so it's the ability to deliver, which creates the trust.
Thanks, Alex. If I can just add maybe to that, Nicole, if that's all right. Alex mentioned a very important point. It's that trust, right? And that doesn't come from nowhere or out of thin air. Luckily, our organizations had been working together for a while in different areas. But I think there was a second element, which is that openness and transparency. And Alex, if you think back a few years ago, right, we were actually sitting together, both sides, Bayer and Veeva, and we were having heated discussions and kind of understanding what Bayer wanted and needed and what Alex was explaining before, but also our vision from Veeva of where we wanted to go. And I think it's that ability to be very open and frank with each other in this partnership, right? To be able to say to the face of the other, hey, this is where we believe we need to be going. How can you be supporting us? To be very frank. On the other hand, to understand our organization's strategies a bit better, right? That may sound fluffy, but Bayer has a very, very ambitious strategy and an ambitious vision of where they want to go, and a lot of interesting launches also ahead on the pipeline, from the pipeline. And Veeva is developing kind of the next gen operating system for life sciences on the commercial end. How do those two fit together? And Alex was describing some of the outcomes of that, the successful outcomes, right? Where we were also able to learn from each other, and from a Veeva perspective, bring that into our product. So that's, I think, the best proof of a living and working relationship and partnership between us. And I think along the way, Alex, right, you, I, and the broader team at Bayer and Veeva have also gotten to know each other even better.
Thank you, Florian. So teamwork, frankness, perhaps some heated discussions, as you mentioned, Florian, but at the end of the day, the ability to deliver, which feeds that trust. So you also highlighted, Florian, this word ambition, which has been repeated a bit during this conversation today. So if we think about ambitions and we turn our gaze to the future horizon now, firstly, Alexander, how do you see a connected platform, as we've been discussing, helping to future-proof Bayer's commercial model as the industry becomes undoubtedly more complex?
Indeed. I mean, it all comes back to where we want to transition to, right? From an SFE platform where everybody wanted to tell the rep what to do and to controlling the rep what he has done and setting target for the reps, into empowered field forces which are knowing and understanding their customers and can basically lead their territory like a mini CEO. That requires that because when you look into our current data we have in the system, this is not sufficient for doing that, because currently I'm always trying, like, when we look into the value of a call report, there might be a certain compliance value, there might be certain things which just have to be there, but we can be better in generating truly insights. And we also need to make the reps and the people in the field understand that the more information they provide, the more they can expect out of it. But here we are again at delivering, right? We need to ensure that the platform really transforms those insights into more insights for the rep, that basically every individual who contributes gets more out of it. And this comes with a business transformation. And this comes also with really leveraging new ways of working, new technologies. And I think AI is an enabler for that. And we are still experimenting in how AI can empower this, but it's truly not only a transformational journey on technology, it's a both-sided. It's a transformation journey on technology and on the business side towards the journey. And I guess we are in the beginning of this. And this is something which we phrase under this agentic sales rep experience. It's going beyond CRM as a component. And this is what we are currently trying to figure out with first experiments. Yeah.
Thank you, Alexander. So taking the sort of key points as AI as enabler in this grand transformation, and importantly, not just on the technology side, but commercial operations as well. So if we're just at the beginning, as you say, more broadly, what role do you see eventually connected platforms playing in reshaping the whole journey from pipeline to patient?
That's a very interesting question, and I can honestly do not answer it yet. This is something which we will figure out by many learnings. So obviously we are trying to identify what is the baseline of doing it. First of all, for example, understanding that a person X is the same person X in two systems. So fundamentally cleaning up data and connecting data and describing data models, but in the end also changing data models from where we have in the past collected or tried to push things into pick list fields and numbers and whatever, opening up and truly transforming the level of insights we can have and we can use. I believe that on the way, we will have a lot of aha moments where we said, oh, wow, we didn't expect this, but it truly creates a new experience, a new value, and so on. So that's why I would say I cannot answer where we will go, but we have a clear direction. And on the way, we will figure out if we need to change, adjust, and obviously then it also comes back to why do you work with a partner like Veeva? Because obviously there's also the fact that Veeva experiences hopefully a lot of those questions from all of their customers and will also hopefully help us to, on the one point, maybe find the right direction for this.
Thank you, Alexander. And thank you for your honesty also in answering there. Thinking about those aha moments and the direction yet to be taken, Florian, perhaps you can take the final question for us today. So we opened with the excitement over this next step in the relationship between Bayer and Veeva. So I was wondering if you could answer to what excites you most for the opportunities this opens up for Veeva, but also for Bayer and other organizations, but also importantly for HCPs and for patients.
Happy to, Nicole. We live in an extremely interesting time, all right? And Nicole, you and I were talking about some of the challenges in previous conversations, but there is a lot of innovation going on in life science as a whole, a lot of new medicines coming to market, and Bayer is no stranger to that with their fantastic pipeline, right? So there's a lot of new treatments coming to market with a lot of promise for patients and how they can help them. So that's the exciting part. There's also a challenging part because the technologies with which we deliver these medicines are becoming more complex. It costs a lot of money to develop these new treatments. They take a long time and patients are waiting desperately for new medicines, right? So there is a lot of backdrop against what organizations such as Bayer are doing and how we at Veeva want to help our customers such as Bayer with that. So it's a complex world, right? The connectivity that we've been describing in this podcast and that we've been discussing, I think is a huge promise and offers a lot of opportunity for accelerating that process that I was just talking about. So how can we bring these medicines to our patients quicker? It means faster drug development if we're thinking on the clinical side, right? A quicker study startup of clinical trials. It means the trial can hopefully complete also quicker. It also means safer trials because you're kind of doing the right things at the first time. It also means high value information for the companies that conduct these trials. So for example, Bayer, right? And those learnings they can then bring also to the commercial part of the house. So I think the connectivity that we've been describing and the power of AI that we were alluding to can significantly supercharge of how the industry is bringing medicines to patients faster in a compliant and safe way. And that's something I'm really, really excited about. AI promises to be a catalyst for all of that. And I fully agree that we're only at the beginning of that journey, and we probably don't know collectively of where that will be in 1, 2, 3, 5 years time. But I'm truly, truly excited for what AI can do in that context and how we're going to connect all of the different dots along the development of treatments, but also the commercialization of treatments until they get to patients and can save lives, hopefully.
Absolutely. A valuable journey indeed. Thank you very much both for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Florian.
Thank you for having us.
And that concludes another episode of the pharmaphorum podcast. You can find more information about this episode, including a download link and information about previous installments at pharmaphorum.com/podcasts. The pharmaphorum podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Podbean, and pretty much wherever else you download your other podcasts from. Just search for pharmaphorum and follow and hit subscribe. Of course, don't forget to visit our website itself, where you can sign up for daily and weekly news and analysis bulletins. And do follow us on Blue Sky and LinkedIn at pharmaphorum. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.